Hey there guys, rather than a kind of like challenge against the Iscorama 36, I think that would be a little bit of a rude attempt with the love that I've got for the Iscorama. So rather than that, I consider this more of a comparison. At the moment we're using the Flare Factory 38 attachment on top of a Flare Factory in Quasi 1.5, which is like a low contrast oversized aperture on the Flare Factory. At the moment I'm not aiming to show the effects of the actual taking lens itself, but generally the Quasi 1.5 option delivers the lowest sharpness capability, simply because it is a fixed wide open aperture. On the plus side, the Quasi 1.5s tend to be the most vibrant in terms of flare character. So anyway, I'm going to show the same lens, the Quasi 1.5 Flare Factory, firstly with the Flare Factory 38, which is attached at the moment. I'm focused on the lens chart in the background, and I'll just punch in and focus into the so in effect focus is done via the Flare Factory. The Flare Factory 38 attachment fits straight on the front and doesn't get adjusted. So in effect we've got the capability to, that's the full focus throw of the Flare Factory 58. Punch in again, check focus. Lovely aliasing, thanks to the A7R's video capabilities being a little low, but we're currently on full frame mode. Just punch in again, do that focus pull. As you can see, what I will do now, I've currently set the camera around just over a metre away, because obviously the Iscorama is limited. As standard it's got, I believe, a 6 foot, maybe slightly more minimum focus. The one I've got has been modified to focus down to around 3.5–4 feet, something like that. So in effect, this focus capability here isn't going to be available on the Iscorama 36. In effect, the starting focus is pretty much where we are here. But I'll just change over lenses and show you the 36 now. Okay, so this is the Iscorama 36 now, replacing the Flare Factory 38 attachment. The 36 is now the front element. If I tried to focus any closer, it would literally fall off due to the focus modification. So in effect, normally you simply would not be able to focus as close as this with a standard factory Iscorama 36. So what I'm going to do now is show pretty much a focus pull from the in-focus camera that's in shot, the lovely Rolleiflex SL2000, which is kind of like a mini medium format camera which shoots 35mm film, but in effect has got all of the benefits like removable backs, lots of the benefits of a kind of medium format camera. So I'll focus onto the test chart from here. Let's double check. There is something lovely about the focus mechanism of the Iscorama 36, particularly when it's been re-lubricated. It's a little concerning though, the fact that the optic, if I was to focus it any closer or try and go any further, it would quite literally fall off. Now, for the purposes of this test, I'm not going to attach a Tokina diopter to the front of this, because obviously the Flare Factory 38 attachment doesn't require this. Now, when you're watching this footage back, what I'll have done with the footage that I'm shooting now, I will do a de-squeeze, so I will compress the footage vertically to get the sorry, I'm completely out of it. In effect, I'm going to have to de-squeeze, because obviously the Iscorama is only compressing one plane, whereas the Flare Factory 38 is compressing both. They're about the same squeeze ratio or wide angle ratio. However, obviously an anamorphic only does it on the vertical, or the horizontal, sorry, squeezing the horizontal. So in effect, I will squeeze the footage down vertically to get the correct aspect ratio, and so that everything that's round is round rather than oval. And on the previous footage that was on the 38, the Flare Factory attachment, which is a non-anamorphic, obviously I can't de-squeeze anything because it's standard, so all I will do is crop it to the same aspect ratio as what the Iscorama is, which will be around 2.66 to 1. I have to say this Iscorama, though marked as a 1.5 times, generally a 1.4 times de-squeeze is adequate to bring it looking normal. So in effect, as you can see, this is the Iscorama set to infinity focus. We haven't got infinity in the distance, but let's punch in just to double check my focus. Make sure I don't go too far past. So in effect, yes, that's focused on the camera, and that's the Iscorama. If the camera was any closer, I simply couldn't focus any closer than that. We're currently around a metre away. Let me just, I think I can probably go slightly further. That's the absolute minimum. So this is the face of the camera where my hand is. I imagine it's probably focused around here. Half a foot closer than previously. So now I'm going to go back to the Flare Factory 38 attachment, this time showing the ability of being able to focus very, very close. So I'm going to leave the camera in the same position, the camera I'm shooting on, the Sony A7R, but I will actually move the camera that's in shot closer, but I'll do that when I start recording so you can see what I'm doing. In effect, I'm going to show the removal and fitment of the two. So the Iscorama is still on. I'm going to remove that, as you can see. A little bit precarious. This is the problem with the Iscorama, because it's so valuable, irreplaceable, very collectible. It's not a very enjoyable process using it. this on. Okay, so the Flare Factory 38 is now attached to the Flare Factory. I'll just punch in again. I mean, just looking now, the whole thing looks marginally sharper. It's pretty much neck and neck. Most of the softness is coming from the fact that this lens is wide open. Centre sharpness on the Flare Factories is very, very good wide open, with a little bit of a roll off to the edges and quite heavy vignette as well. It's just a characteristic of the old Biotar design. A very pleasing look to a lens, actually, particularly for human subjects. Unfortunately, I don't have a lovely model to shoot at the moment, so I've got the next best thing, an awesome old camera. So I'm going to focus in on this now. Just double check focus. Okay, so that's pretty much as sharp as we're going to get on the limited video quality on this camera. Now I'm going to move the camera. At the moment we are approximately 1 meter from the face of the Flare Factory 38 to the in-focus portion of the lens here. So what I'm going to do is move this approximately a foot forward. So this is now approximately 1 foot closer. Actually, the Iscorama would almost focus to this point, and obviously the taking lens, in this case a Quasi 1.5, is dictating the depth of field. Both are going to share the same. I'm not going to put the Iscorama back on now, but you get the idea. The actual defocus in the background with the Iscorama would match what this is, because obviously the taking lens is of the same focal length and we're using the same size sensor throughout. So I'll just double check that. So there's your test chart, and there's the camera in focus. Now, move this light a little bit. I'm going to move the camera about just under a foot closer now. So we're now around a foot closer than what a modified Iscorama is physically capable of focusing to. Obviously the Iscorama would be delivering oval distortion to the defocus. However, with oval aperture and the current highly sensitive sensors, the benefit of the Iscorama now is becoming less and less. Particularly as we start to get 4K capable full frame sensors. The updated version of the camera I'm using now, for example, will shoot 4K externally. I imagine the next one after that will probably shoot it internally, and in which case cropping the top and bottom of spherical lenses, which the Flare Factory is, even if you have an oval aperture, there's no anamorphic parts. It just gives you the effect of the anamorphic. I'm going to move this lens even closer now. So we're now 1 foot away, which is less than a third of the distance. And there's that Carl Zeiss text coming in. in effect we're almost macro, considering this is a wide open lens. The actual results are really phenomenal, really good indeed. Bear in mind that this is still uncoated optics in this Flare Factory 38 prototype or pre-production model that I'm shooting with. So the coated elements will yield a lot better contrast. As you can see, there's a significant lift, mainly due to the fact that the background is heavily illuminated and the foreground camera is now in shadow. I'm just going to move the main light source to try and illuminate this a little more. Unfortunately, a little bit of the light is now hitting the front element again, due to the fact that the front element of this Flare Factory 38 attachment is uncoated, or the entire thing is uncoated. That's going to flare up quite a lot and do a bit of a shadow lift. As you can see on the Rolleiflex or Rolleiflex text, it's looking pretty sharp. And finally I'm going to go even closer. Before we do, I'm going to do a focus pull. I'll do a focus pull back. And that's pretty phenomenal. Obviously these capabilities translate onto any of the Flare Factory 58 lenses. So you put the 38, the Flare Factory 38 or the Trump 38 onto either a Flare Factory or a Trump 58, and you gain these close focus capabilities while maintaining your aperture and other characteristics. So assuming you had a 1.5 times oval in your Flare Factory, cropping your 16:9 footage to the 2.66:1 and shooting with this combo with the 38 attachment is going to look very similar to if you were shooting a 2.8 taking lens 58mm on the Iscorama. So yeah, it's pretty much it's quite sad really, because the Iscorama, obviously this isn't going to give you the horizontal streaks that the Iscorama gives. However, I don't find the Iscorama's anamorphic flare that exciting. It's more its sharpness capabilities. Unfortunately, the minimum focus of the lens is its main drawback. It may well be a single focus system, but having a wide angle attachment like this that allows an oval 58mm taking lens to be used, and with this amount of focus throw, is pretty special. I still can't really believe what this optic is delivering. And this is before coating, so we will have the coated parts very soon, and the results are probably going to be even better. So anyway, yeah, rather than being a kind of like challenge against the Iscorama, it's more a case of having a look at what an oval aperture, or in this case a round aperture, this is pushing both lenses quite hard, because the taking lens itself, being a Quasi 1.5, isn't a very sharp lens to start with. But yeah, that should give you an idea of pretty much what's going on. Cheers. Cheers, guys.